I've been making Harry Potter content on the internet for roughly 18 months now, and in that time I've broadcasted a lot of my Harry Potter opinions. Some of them are absolutely set in stone, and others have changed just from me rereading the books multiple times, watching the movies again, and also just chatting with other people and sharing opinions. One thing I'm asked a lot though that has never changed is, do I prefer the books or the movies? And my answer will always be the books. However, I do feel like that does the movies a disservice because they are still brilliant. All 8 main Harry Potter movies are fantastic, even the ones that I don't like as much. So do you know what? Today is the day. Let's actually give the movies some credit. And not just any old credit, because I'm going to praise the movies by looking at what they actually did better than the books. I'm going to give you 5 things I preferred from the movies in no particular order. But before we jump in, please do hit subscribe if you're new. We're getting so close to 2,000 subscribers. And for anybody who wants more content, I post every single day on my TikTok, and I've started live streaming on TikTok as well. We have an awesome Harry Potter community growing. Check it out, link in the description. And one last piece of admin, since my last YouTube video, I have now joined Twitch, and we are playing through every single Harry Potter video game, starting of course with Hogwarts Legacy. I stream every Friday and Sunday at 8 PM UK time. Check it out, link is also in the description, and please hit follow. But back to it, let's start this list with number 1, Sirius Black's death. So to me, Sirius's death marks the beginning of the final stages of the story. Now yes, most people say that the Goblet of Fire's ending is where the series takes a darker tone, and I do agree, but I think it's the ending of the Order of the Phoenix and the combination of Sirius's death and Harry finding out the truth about the prophecy that changes Harry's attitude. This is the first time that somebody he truly loves has died in the main series. This is when he decides it's up to him. He must defeat Voldemort in order to save everybody else he cares about, and ultimately the rest of the wizarding world too. Harry finding out about the prophecy just after Sirius's death in the book is actually probably my favourite chapter in the whole series. Him destroying Dumbledore's office and slowly calming down to learn this crucial information is brilliant. But why do I prefer the bit beforehand in the movies? Well, it comes down to one crucial thing. In the movies, Bellatrix Lestrange kills Sirius Black with Avada Kedavra, whereas in the books, Sirius just falls through the veil. I think the addition of the killing curse is crucial. You see, Harry Potter is of course a magical series, and I think that's brilliant. It opens up a range of possibilities, but one negative of magical series is it kind of means anything can happen and you can't rule out any possibilities, including death. If you don't actually see a character die, it's hard to not imagine there's a chance they can come back. And I can't help but imagine that if Sirius had just fallen through the veil in a book that came out in today's world with YouTubers and TikTokers and content creators constantly theorizing about the series, I'd imagine there'd be millions of videos out there basically arguing that Sirius Black will come back because yes, he's fallen through the veil, but we the reader don't know what's on the other side of the veil. This then kind of takes away from Harry's heartbreaking moment because we the reader are not 1,000,000% convinced that Sirius is dead. It is told to us, and yes, we are meant to believe he's dead, and he is, but you know, it's a magical series. It's possible he wasn't. Whereas I just prefer the actual confirmation in the movies with Avada Kedavra. This to me then justifies Harry's emotions, his rage, his sadness, his frustration, even the fact that he then tries to use an unforgivable curse on Bellatrix Lestrange. It all makes so much sense because we're truly sure that Sirius is dead. Up next, I've got Slughorn giving Harry the real memory. I've gone on the record before and said I think Jim Broadbent massively improves Horace Slughorn's character. I like Slughorn as an addition in the book, but I just find him easier to warm to in the movie, which I think is important because I think it changes the way you look at Slughorn's big mistake. In the book, it feels like Slughorn is being cowardly by not giving the real memory to Harry and Dumbledore. Whereas in the movie, I think you understand him more. I think you relate with him more. You understand that he's not actually being cowardly. He's just so ashamed of the mistake he made and what it's cost people. And there's a big reason that I prefer this. A lot of the time in my videos, I get criticised for being harsh on Slytherin House, but I've always made the argument that we're kind of forced to because the series struggles to portray any actually good Slytherin characters. Every single Slytherin character has a caveat. Draco Malfoy isn't all bad, but he does bully a lot of people. Same with Severus Snape. He makes the ultimate sacrifice, but he is horrible to people. Even Regulus Black eventually becomes good, but he did become a Death Eater. In my opinion, Slughorn was your opportunity to paint a truly good Slytherin character, and I think Jim Broadbent does that better than it's done in the book. And the big moment that this is revealed is when Slughorn gives Harry the memory, specifically the fishbowl story. Whoever came up with the idea to include the fishbowl story, round of applause. I love it. Because this actually adds a connection between Slughorn and Harry's mum. It wasn't just some pupil that Slughorn used to teach. This was somebody he actually cared about. This was someone he had a connection with, who he was genuinely responsible in part for her death. You can understand so much more why he was so ashamed to reveal the truth. Plus, I think it allows a more mature side of Harry to come out. Yes, he's under the influence of the lucky potion, but still, in the moment, he knows exactly what to say to Slughorn. He can sympathise with him whilst ensuring Slughorn realises it is imperative that to bring down Voldemort, he needs the memory. Despite Half-Blood Prince being my least favourite movie, that's seen as a 10 out of 10. Number 3, the first Triwizard Task. Now, I know this is going to be a controversial one because I often slate the movies for not being 100% realistic. And let's face it, the Dragon Task in Goblet of Fire absolutely fits that criteria. You see, yes, I know that Hogwarts is very dangerous. No, Hagrid, it is not the safest place out there at all. But every single teacher in the school watching a dragon chase Harry out of the task arena around the school, almost killing him multiple times, is pushing it a little bit. However, I'm going to make an exception. You see, let's face it, the movies aren't entirely canon. That's something we've had to come to terms with. And to make a really good movie, you do need a couple of moments that get the audience on the edge of their seat. And that's what this task does. This is me trying to remove the book lover side from me here, because I do get frustrated when unrealistic things are added to the movies. However, if the first Triwizard Task from the book was replicated on screen exactly, you could argue it would be quite boring. This was a really good opportunity to make a fun action scene, and if you take away the fact that it shouldn't be allowed to happen at a school, it is genuinely super entertaining. It paints Harry as being an incredible flyer, because this isn't just some random Quidditch match, this is him escaping a fire-breathing dragon. It puts over how awesome dragons are. It's a good way to show early doors that this Triwizard Task is dangerous. And also, it makes you go, hang on, Harry could win this thing. That was incredibly impressive. Harry celebrating getting the egg. What a moment. He's actually earned that. Because let's face it, a lot of Harry's achievements, they have caveats. It's either, well, this person helped you out here, or you couldn't have done this without them, or, well, thankfully your mum sacrificed herself, otherwise you would have died there. No, this is just Harry actually being OP. So I hold my hand up. Maybe I'm being slightly hypocritical with this one. Please do tell me in the comments, but I'm happy to make an exception. Despite not always enjoying the Goblet of Fire movie as much as maybe I should do because it deviates from the book, this is a rare example where, do you know what? It's entertaining. I'm going to allow it. Number 4, Snape finds Lily Potter first. So I did think about making this entry the pensive chapter from the Deathly Hallows, but it is so good in the book. It's hard to say that the movie is better, I just think they are both perfect. So the best way to do this was to find something that was added during that chapter to the movies that wasn't in the original book. However, before I focus in on this specific moment, I do just want to say, when it comes to Snape's memories and the pensive scene in the Deathly Hallows, to use some modern terminology, the movies understood the assignment. Yes, they did have to cut out quite a bit of the extra information from the book chapter, but you know what? You come to expect that. That's where we're all hoping that in the new HBO series that's being made, hopefully they can include extra information. I mean, I'd imagine the pensive scene could get a whole episode in the series, which would be amazing. But do you know what? For the movie, they had to cut out some, but they kept all the right stuff in, did it all justice, and added a gem. And that gem is Severus Snape being the one to find Lily Potter's dead body. Now, I love this for 2 reasons. Number 1, it humanizes Snape. Now, despite loving Snape as a character, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's a good person, because there's so much evidence to suggest that he isn't throughout the series. However, what I love in a character is when you're made to make a choice. You're given reasons to like, dislike, hate, love people, and you, the reader or watcher, has to make a judgment call. And the brilliant thing with Snape is that you think he's gone, you think he's dead, you think you've seen all of him, and suddenly you're given this huge load of information that changes your entire perspective of the character. And whilst again, I don't judge anybody who likes or dislikes Snape particularly because of all the stuff we know, but nothing serves to humanize him more than him finding Lily. This truly shows you what his motive was. This truly shows you that deep down, the thing we're told is the most important thing throughout the series, love, was Snape's driving factor. He was genuinely on the right side because he cared so much about Lily. But the second reason why I love this edition, and the real reason I love it, is because this presents us with two possibilities. If Snape got to Godric's Hollow first, this means that he either didn't notice that baby Harry was still alive, which massively highlights his love for Lily. He had eyes for nothing else. How could you not notice an alive baby in that wreckage? That just shows how much he cared about Lily and where Snape's priorities were for the entire series. Or the other possibility, and this is fascinating, is that Snape did notice baby Harry and didn't care. Because there's no implication that when Hagrid goes to collect Harry, that this was ever discovered because of Severus Snape. This would mean that Snape discovered baby Harry and only cared about Lily being dead. He did not care enough about Harry to rescue him himself, take him out of harm's way. No. And I know that can cause debates because people argue whether Snape did care about Harry or not. I don't think he does. I don't think there's any suggestion ever that Snape likes Harry or cares about Harry. I think he was always doing it for Lily personally, and this highlights that. Even with baby Harry alive, the miracle child who has just survived Voldemort's attack, and bearing in mind, Snape knows exactly what Voldemort was trying to do because he told him the prophecy, Snape doesn't care. Snape doesn't care about any of that. It's just Lily. And I think it's an awesome addition because it presents these opportunities that all highlight Snape's characteristics that we go on to know. And finally, number 5, Harry and Hermione dancing in the Deathly Hallows. Now, this is an interesting one because anybody who's been in my lives before will know I like Harry and Ginny and I like Hermione and Ron. I wouldn't switch them. I'm not a Harry and Hermione shipper. But them dancing in the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and just their general chemistry after Ron has left is fantastic. And here's why. First of all, it does finally give Ron a little bit of credit in the movies. Ron has done a disservice out the movies, but this finally shows that without him, the trio aren't the same. They are not the same. They are broken. Hermione barely speaks to Harry. She misses him so much. It finally highlights Ron's need to be there. Ron isn't always needed because he's the chosen one or the smartest one. He's just Ron. And the movies do a really good job of showing how his lack of being there has a huge effect on the trio. But Harry and Hermione dancing is fantastic because whilst romance isn't my favourite part of Harry Potter, I don't think it always does romance great, you needed by the end to tie up loose knots. Everybody needed to end up with somebody, and if you were going to go with Hermione and Ron, you had to rule out the possibility of Hermione and Harry. And this is where that happens. They have a moment. They have a will they won't they moment. And once you know that it's not going to be romantic, it actually turns into a really nice friendship moment because Harry is just there for Hermione when she needed somebody. But in the moment, there was a chance, and it doesn't go any further. This is the perfect way to play with the audience just enough to give them a little tease, but ultimately show everybody this isn't the route we're going down. We're going with Hermione and Ron, and Harry can have Ginny later. It's also just quite a cheery moment as well. You needed bits like that thrown here and there. The series takes a really, really dark turn at this point, and this just reminds you, they are just kids. They're trying to save the world, but they are just kids. And to be fair, I think the movie's always had a difficult task of trying to make you relate with the main characters because we spend so much time with them in the books. You don't get that luxury in the movies. You've got to fit in so much detail, so much information. So just taking a couple of minutes to slow everything down and just have a laugh, it's perfect. And that brings my list to a close. Let me know, do you agree with my suggestions? Is there anything else you prefer from the movies to the books? As I said before, please do check out my TikTok and Twitch links in the description. Hit subscribe if you're new. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, everyone.